Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
It's morning. No, don't start. We're just going to roll on through. No cuts. So for everyone listening, my name is Kaylani Kelly, the host of this podcast, which I'm still coming up with a name for. I'm thinking Talks with Kay or...
Kicking back with Kalani.
Kicking back with Kalani.
Killing it with Kaylani.
Killing it with Kaylani. So this is my first episode of my first podcast ever. But basically I wanted to start this to open up a space to discuss social issues and current events, topics of interest, and depending on the subjects of the topics, to also open up a space to give a voice to traditionally marginalized groups who we don't always hear from in the news, and just raise up different perspectives. So, I have 3 guests with me today. We have filmmaker Quentin Cameron, hip-hop artist Solo, and journalist Lauren Turner-Dunn. So, how was everyone's week?
Great.
It's been amazing.
Chilling.
Happy to be here today.
It's now Friday morning, so we're getting into the weekend. Solo, you have a music video, but really a short film dropping tonight.
Oh my goodness.
And a new album releasing August 18th.
EP.
Okay.
EP.
8/18/18.
Yes. Had to put it down for the 818 because that's the area code we're in, and I feel like this place has influenced a lot of what I've been going through lately. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from Fresno.
Okay.
Yeah, ain't much going on out there. So I moved down here when I was 18 for film, and it's crazy. Like I ended up meeting somebody who was already dope at film, so I'm like, all right, let me just do my music thing, and then we ended up coming together, and that's my boy Joshua Vale.
Who's filming us right now? Okay. And Q, you've been posting and promoting your new music video with Dakota?
Yeah, Dakota.
Dakota. When should we expect to see that?
It's gonna be late June, early July. That's the drop date. Yeah, we're just like doing like little promos and like there's gonna be like a little sketch in there and stuff like that to promo. So
Okay, sweet.
yeah.
Okay.
So like a week.
Yeah, like a week or so. Yeah, like a week or something like that. Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm gonna break the internet, bro.
Hot, man.
Okay, so we'll get into our first topic today. I wanted to talk about what I've been seeing going on, especially like throughout this week. I've been seeing more and more of the kids, immigrant children being held at the border, which is looking a little concentration campish to me. So what do you guys think about that? Also, the Trump administration just announced that they will no longer accept asylums based on fear, domestic violence, gang violence, or any other personal crime. So basically people who want to come in from another country saying, I've been experiencing violence in my country, he's saying that's not going to be a reason or an excuse anymore to just get immediate pass to come over.
What will be? Like what in their eyes is a good enough reason to come to this country?
Just going the regular way of like just filling out the paperwork, going through the regular process of becoming a citizen, which takes up to, at least 7 years sometimes. It takes years.
Yeah, it takes. I feel.
And that's why people come over illegally, because it takes so long and they're trying to
escape.
Get out. Yeah.
Yeah, because like a lot of those areas, there's, I don't know, let's say in Mexico, like there's a lot of things wrong going there, right? But I personally believe that like with some of the with some of the actions of, let's say, America, all these different all these different countries, right? They ripped away that, their resources and like, a lot of their rights not rights, I'm sorry, but more so like opportunities. Mm-hmm. Right. But think about why they're doing stuff like that. And then now we're just like perpetuating it with like extra, type of like what's the word? Like we're just adding on to like the problems. So they can't get success. But why is that? Why is that a trend that you see in every different, country of color? You know, like, and so now we're having like these restrictions for immigration, even though we've already messed up their country already. Why? What's the deal? You know, that's my number one question. Why is there a pattern of this? Mm-hmm. You know, like, so that's the one question I think about, and well, you know, that's something that like they have to come up with the answer. They have to be true with themselves. You know, so that's how I feel about it.
I feel like in 2018, it's really, like, I feel the pressure to feel like there's a more elaborate reason in why this is going on, because I'm in denial to the fact that, dang, we can't be this ignorant and this racist and this abusive of power as a country in this late, like in 2018. Like, there has to be a reason. But as I'm looking and digging for reasons, it's like, they're all sourced from that. So I'm looking at how in the government is going and trying to disenfranchise a certain country. And I feel like the only reason it's happening is because we can get away with it. And by we, I don't mean I have any part in that, but I mean, like, I do take a lot of pride in the country that I'm in, because there's a lot that I'm doing and aspire to do that I wouldn't be able to do anywhere else. But I don't feel like because of that, I should be backing the disenfranchising of any lesser country, whether it be because we have more money as a country or more military power. And I feel like the fact that we have more military power is what's encouraging America as a whole to, like, attack, like, some place like Mexico and, like, put a border up and say, you know, you can't come to our country, because, I mean, we got the guns, and, like, if we want more power, and I feel like with how attached Mexico is to the United States, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump was doing all this disenfranchising and abusing the power just to eventually make that, like, ours, like, just to be like, oh, we own, like you were saying, with, like, I never looked at it from a colonization perspective, but as you look at, like, how colonization played out in the past, like, this was, like, one of the, like, precursors to that. So I feel like I definitely don't agree with it, but I think I have to admit within myself that just because we're this far in doesn't mean, like, something can be rooted in something as ignorant as racism and abuse of power. So I feel like that's a lot of what's going on right now.
Mhm. I saw something today that was, have you guys heard of chain gangs? Like, times of enslavement?
Yeah.
They would take the children from their parents and make them work. So, like, by separating the family. So just raising the idea that this separating families by the government is nothing new. And it's like history repeating itself.
Yeah,
that's just one thing that, like, pisses me off, because it's like there's so much hate and greed. Like, we just want to be on top so bad, like, make America great again, like, even though it wasn't safe for us, like, you know, ever. And, like, people come here because it's safer than their countries, you know. That's really why they want to come here. They want to achieve their dreams, the American dream, you know, whatever like that. But it's just like, I don't know. It just really makes me upset that there's so much pain that people want to cause other people, and they just they'll do whatever they can to just have that power and abuse it. Like, it's just it's just wrong.
It's crazy when you look at the history of any people of color in this country. Like, it doesn't get better as you go back in time. Mm-hmm. So when you get a president that comes and says something like, let's make America great again.
When was it
like,
great?
Yeah, like, what are you trying to get back to? Because we see what he's trying to get back to, and it's just reminding us of, like, things like our kids being separated from families by the government. Like, so everything we fought for in the civil rights movement, literally slavery.
We
like
were separated then too.
Oh my goodness! Like, it shouldn't even go that far back. Like, what?
So he's moving us back, basically,
like,
too.
You know what?
Let's
just get back the track we were on.
Non-people of color back. Wait, I want to ask you guys something though. So from the other side, what do you think about? I would say this is like a Republican view, although some liberals have kind of the same view about immigrants too. So what would you say to someone who is looking at the situation like the adults are illegal, migrated here illegally, and therefore are criminals. So, like, I've heard an example, if an adult went to rob a store or rob a bank with their child, they still committed a crime, so therefore they have to be punished for it, put on trial, and then the government then has to find something or some place for that child to go. It's not just like, oh, because you have your child with you, you can get away with doing something illegal. So what do you guys think about that view?
Before I go in right now. Because, like, when you really think about it, the only people who aren't immigrants in this country are African Americans, because we didn't ask. Yeah. We didn't make any attempts to come to this country. We were brought here involuntarily. Any other, like, ethnicity or culture voluntarily came and to a place that was already occupied, for one. Yeah. So literally anyone but a Native American can be like, you're here illegally. And look at what has been done to Native Americans and their legacy. So I don't feel like anyone should be in that position of I feel the need to strongly defend the fact that these people are illegal. We all illegal. This is America. Like, our culture is diversity. That is American culture. Diversity itself is American culture. Like, it's not just this group or this group or this group, but there is a big group that's trying to, like, claim it as, like, their group. But I mean, without even going into that, it's like,
it's a fantasy.
It's an illusion. Like, it's free land, and if you really want to get into it, it's like, this is Earth. Like, this is everybody's Earth. Like, it's kind of messed up how we, like, can go to any, like, type of country as, like, a vacation or whatever. Like, we're visiting. Like, traveling is looked at as a luxury here, like, or as a hobby here. But when it comes to visiting our place, it's like, no. Like, no. Like,
God forbid.
And this
for
is
certain people.
For certain people. Yeah. And which makes it even more messed up, because it's not, like, you're not even being fair and saying everybody can't come. You're saying this group that's literally geographically attached to America is the only group that you're not letting in. We're not having this, like, immigrant discussion about Canada right now. Like, nobody's saying nothing about Canada. Like, it's not even a big deal. But, like, even for, like, it's crazy, because, I mean, I'm a hip-hop artist. It's just crazy to think how one of the most popular artists in America, whether it be Drake, Justin Bieber, The Weeknd, blah, 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 like, they're from Canada, but we don't have, like, Mexican, like, from the country, like, who would be allowed to even be in that position just because of the connotation attached to a Mexican being in America with all this, like, illegal issues going on and stuff like that. No one's questioning, like, anyone from Canada, like, oh, are you legal? Like, are you supposed to be here? Like, nah, no one's even, that's not even a part of the discussion. It's kind of
So do you guys think we should, or the government should let immigration laws go and just let any and everybody in? Or, like, what do you think is a solution?
Ease up.
Right. Yeah, make it easier, because, like, really, in reality, I feel like I humbly believe what you said. I've always thought, like, the earth is my earth. Like, this is my world, you know? Like, so the same as yours, or everybody. Like, we all inhabit this huge planet. So I feel like, okay, sure, like, say, I mean, even though I believe it's super messed up, the idea of that, no, this is my part of the country, and this is yours, so you only have to get in because you got to do this and this and this, and you don't look like me, type of thing. You don't believe things I believe. I believe, like, I humbly believe, like, okay, look, like, if that's the game that you're trying to play, ease it up. Like you said, these, 7 years, really? Like, what?
And sometimes
like,
longer.
And so these are good people, you know what I mean? Like, they're human beings. Yeah, they're just like, yo, I just want to dip. You know, so what's so wrong about, like, helping someone out if, like, we're a country of love, apparently, like.
Yeah, and I get the law. I mean, like, there has to be, like, some type of law in place, because there is, like things have to be addressed. Like, if something goes wrong, like, you do want to have, like, the government behind you if you're in another country, but it's not like that process should be that intense and that difficult. And even after 7 years, it's still a roll of the dice, because you can still get a no after that. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not the super hippie, like, oh, everyone can come into America. Like, I understand their processes, but those processes do not have to be the way that they are. And it's not like these people are going to be coming to America to be on Snapchat or to go to Starbucks or to, like,
no,
party.
The bad things that they say, like robbing, raping, those.
That's what they
not
say.
everybody's
That's
coming for that.
Start gangs.
Not everybody's coming over here for that.
Trying
that's
to get away from that.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what they're like, oh, that's why they want to keep them out. And it's like...
And that's the fear instilled in people by what's on the news.
And being different. They're different than me, so I don't want to have association with them. I don't want them,
you know what's messed up?
Differences.
I think it's messed up the fact that, like, how powerful, I'm going to be completely blamed, a white person's words is. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to keep it real. Like, what other ethnicities has been one perpetuating, say like, oh, we gotta keep these like rapists out of the country, right? Like, well, you know, it's like same thing they did with black folks. Like, you know, what was white people? They'd say like, oh, like crack, you know, stay away from crack's white and all that stuff like that, right? But what's the face that they were painting on that, you know? So it's like their words are so powerful that like they realize it. They know no one else is gonna listen to like, let's say if I were to be like, oh, here, this. If I made a statement, my word's way less powerful than theirs. It's pretty sad to say, but in their world, that's how they work, you know. And so
it's crazy because it's powerful among, like, not just white people to other white people, but I have family members. I know people of color who truly believe that, oh, the immigrants are taking our tax dollars, so they do, you know, they're a problem.
Yeah, it's
so
like
it's reached.
Yeah, it was wild as it goes past skin color too. Yeah, it goes to your ideology, you know. So it's like, yeah, because I feel
people internalize it though. Yeah, like whatever they're here on the news in the media see, they start to believe it too, and they're like, yeah, this is bad, and that just goes to like show how closed-minded they are and how they just are scared of the differences that we have. I think that the people that we elect, they need to come to an agreement and figure out a way to where it's not that hard. Like, we elected them to do these jobs, and they're not doing their jobs. That's basically what it comes down to.
Right.
Like, all this controversy and everything, it shouldn't be going down like this. Children crying like that is unacceptable. Like,
yeah, I think the way they're going about it is just...
It's wrong, but they're not doing their jobs. Like, we elected them to do these jobs, and they're not doing it correctly or ethically.
Humanely,
yeah, like, it's just wrong.
There's a trend in, like, media is very powerful, and it has the power to influence people to think myriad ways, and I feel like what I see is, okay, drugs, violence, this, that, like, all of these things that everybody can agree are bad get attached to the face of it becomes ethnic group. So when you're looking at the news and you see like, oh, shooting or a robbery, yeah, those are bad shooting, bad robbery. But every time you see a shooting and a robbery, you start associating it with a person of color because that's who's put on the news. Like, for example, like, I quit smoking cigarettes because there's nicotine in a cigarette, but there are thousands of other things in there that your body becomes conditioned to become addicted to with the nicotine because it gets it at the same time. So if you're presenting all of this bad information to the public and attaching subtly, not saying it directly, but just subtly attaching a black man or a Mexican person or anyone of color like to that crime, you start to like subconsciously see like people of color as associated with crime and as bad as the crime itself. And I feel like people coming to this country, they like, criminals are not stupid. Like, they know damn well they can't get away with all they're getting away with in Mexico. So the criminals themselves are the last people trying to leave Mexico. That's where they thrive in. That's where they're getting their money. And they're not going to come here and think they're going to get away with the extent of violence that goes down there. It's the people who are affected by it in disproportionate, like, completely, like, messed up ways who are trying to get away from it. And I feel like since our, just not ours, but just, like, as the general public, since we're so tuned to seeing these acts of violence associated with this group, anyone in that group who comes into this country is someone we should look out for. But we got to learn how to separate those things. Crime is crime, people are people. So, yeah, it's crazy.
That actually leads into the next topic, gun violence. So there were 2 music artists shot and killed earlier this week. Jimmy Wapo, and XXX Tentacion. Or X, we'll call him X, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, that speaks on violence in the black community. What do you guys think that we can do to prevent gun violence in the black community?
I just think, like, well, number one, the screenings, I don't know how people get the guns, like, just the plugs, just the same way they get drugs, of course, but it's just like, I don't know. It just hurt my heart, the fact that another black man shot a young black man, an artist, like somebody who has been like, it's been controversial because
we're gonna talk about that too.
Yeah, he's like raped his girlfriend, or like there's a lot of alleged things towards him, so people are like, fuck it, like he deserved to die. But it's like, no, like nobody deserves to die like that, like. And, like, the way it went down, everybody recording instead of, like, freaking helping him.
That was just sick. Because he was actually, that is, like, desensitization of the social media. Because people are more quick to whip out their phones and record than they are to actually help someone.
Yeah, so it's just all bad the way it went down. And it's just, I don't know how it can stop. Like, people, like, the same way, it's like drugs to me. That's how I see it now. Because, like, they have the drugs, they have the guns, like, they have a plug, like a supplier, you know?
I personally think we need to start with, like, it's how we view each other. Because we're taught, like, from the time that we're kids, people of color, especially black people, like, what we see on TV, like, who always plays the beautiful, the pure person most of the time, you know? Yeah. So I feel like we're taught from little kids to not value ourselves. And so when we look at our fellow black people, we don't see value, and so it's easy, and that's not everyone, but that is an issue, and so it's easy to just go and shoot somebody, another black person, when you don't see the value there. And also it has to do with areas that are highly concentrated, black communities full of poverty. Then it becomes like there's like a lack of resources, which leads to a means of survival. So you're going out doing like violence, shooting people to survive, so you can take what they have because you don't have anything. So that comes from like a systematic problem involving poverty and lack of resources in certain areas.
You know what? How I feel about this is like, I mean, I feel super strong and passionately towards like this topic and like what's going on right now. And I feel like gun violence is probably one of the worst epidemics that go on. Not like, it's not just like surface level, just gun violence, but it's just like how many like micro levels there are of it. So you have like, of course, the actual shootings, right? But you think about how it's perpetuated by the media. Like, why are these songs getting so pushed to the whole, United States and stuff like that?
The ones that are playing on the radio.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a pop. Right. It's like, well, okay, now it's like we're so desensitized. We're so used to hearing about gun violence. Now we have like a bunch of these simple-minded kids, right?
And they take that,
and they're like, literally. Oh yeah. I like this to be cool or accepted and stuff like that by my street or my whatever, right? And so now they think like that, and then they forget, and they just they don't even think about how easy it is to squeeze a trigger instead of actually like putting up hands and stuff like that, right? So like, no, I'm just gonna do this because it's so acceptable and it's cool. Bam, kill someone, right? Now I got my clout, I got my Gucci bag and stuff like that, right? But the thing is from now we go from that level to like what you're saying. Okay, now why is this so accepted? Why is it so normal for like Southside Chicago being so like this, gun violence and stuff like that and drugs?
I feel like gun violence in America definitely transcends race, because long before I even heard of a shooting of a black on black shooting, I was hearing about a lot of school shootings, and I feel like just when you look at the movies that we push when you look at the music that is like the movies and music that are popular, and you mix that with the values of the country, which are like almost always fame, money, in other words, clout and money. So I'm not surprised when the day after the alleged shooter shoots XXX Tentacion and keeps it moving, there are thousands of it. Like, he makes his account private, and because of that, there are thousands of other fake accounts of people supporting him and against him. Mm-hmm. And no, the shooter.
Oh,
the shooter himself. Mm-hmm. His name, I don't even want to say his name, because I mean that's just perpetuating like exactly what I'm like saying is not cool right now. Mm-hmm. But you look at like even the school shooters. Look at the amount of fame that they get. Mm-hmm. Like after
glory,
like literally, there's a glory. Like, okay, there's your fame right there. Now this dude, I'm thinking about it. Like, if he doesn't get caught, then that was pretty much messed up, but a nice little marketing plan that he had there for his clout. Because now people are all like coming toward him, and then once they find out he didn't do it, and then they're like, oh well, I already know who he is now. They're like looking at his music and stuff. Like, I looked his name up on Apple Music and was not surprised to see that a month ago he had a project called XXX that he released, and who just died recently. And like, I'm just like, I wouldn't be surprised if there were other elements in that other than, hey, I'm killing an innocent person. Like that was probably the last thing on his mind. In his mind, is like, everybody gonna know who I am. I got this tape dropping. What a coincidence. XXX, whatever. But like, I mean, just the way that we glorify the shooter is a huge reason why it's not uncommon. And I don't even feel like in this day and age it can be looked at as a black or any type of thing, because like I'm starting to see it happens. Just like, people are people. Like, we don't see color like naturally. Like, that's a concept. Like, we have to tell our brains like to see color. So I feel like naturally no one's ever gonna like hesitate to shoot someone because, oh, I'm white, I wouldn't do this. No, I feel like if somebody was put in a situation where they felt the need to take a life, and they were that type of person, not this color or that color, but that type of person, they would do it. And I just feel like at this point our value should be like readdressed, because I feel like that is a huge cause. Like, when we look at what we stand for, when we look at who our president is, when we look at what makes you successful in America, you can be a crappy person and still have a bunch of money. You can be a greedy, racist person, have a lot of money, and people will still look at you as successful. So that just shows like integrity, boom. Fame, money, boom. Yeah. So whatever it takes to get to that fame and money, I'm gonna do that. And if it takes getting the fame to get the money, then I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do. They're gonna make me famous, and then the money will come after, like whatever. Cause that's just like, I listened to "This Is America" by Donald Glover after that.
That's all you can listen to.
Because it's just like, that's pretty much what's going on. Like, yeah. Bow, like, keep it moving. I'm rich. I'm famous. I'm so cold. Like, like that's just the way it is. And that dude, like, who shot him, like, he wasn't impoverished. That dude had like a full grill in his mouth. Like, he had like a bigger chain than this one here. So I'm just like, he definitely ain't like as hungry as I am right now. Like, bro, there was no reason for that. So yeah, I think just America's values need to be readdressed.
The Second Amendment needs to be readdressed.
That too.
The gun is the enemy at the end of the day. Like, people don't know how much power like it has at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Even like when it comes to suicide, school shootings, hunting animals, like
cop shootings, police
shootings. They don't understand the power of the gun, and it's the enemy at the end of the day. Like, if we didn't have them, do you know how many people would still be alive?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
dude.
And for the cops to be able to legally have the right to kill somebody just blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's like, what about your uniform and job position gives you the right to take my life?
Because they're still humans.
Exactly.
Biases, like
you murdered a person. Like, you didn't. It doesn't matter who you're standing behind. Like, if you're murder is murder. Like, and it's kind of sad that
weapons.
It's perceived the way it is. Yeah. But yeah. Woosah.
We all need
to go. I got that sweater on right now, man.
You feel me?
Thank you for the dashiki, brother. Man.
Okay.
That's to bed now.
Well, leading from that, I want to talk about, two of you guys just mentioned the controversy surrounding his death.
Yeah.
So, I'd actually never really heard much about this artist, him or his music, before his passing.
Mm-hmm.
And saw all over my social media, scrolling down my timeline, a lot of posts about him. Some of them were fans saying that he was a legend, an icon, comparable to Tupac and Malcolm X. And then I saw posts saying, or justifying his death, saying that he was an abuser, a promoter of violence, so it was just bound to come back to him. So I'm just like, I don't like being uneducated about things, so I went online and did my own research, found an interview by him, because I wanted to know what, I don't want to just go based off of people's opinions. And I was reading about his controversial past involving the girlfriend, apparently beating in a gay guy's head when he was in jail. And so the reason that I want to talk about that is not just because it's celebrity news, but I think it raises a larger question about us, as far as idolizing. This is something that I'd actually read about, the idolization of abusive celebrities, which I had never really thought of or heard of before, but it just makes me question, do we tend to give people a pass or say that it's okay if you do certain things as long as you're a good athlete or you make good music? Do we give people a pass, or do we idolize or put celebrities on a pedestal? What do you guys think about that?
No, we don't idolize them for the bad things that they do because of who they are. I don't think it's not about that. It's about their values, what they hold to their heart. Of course, as a musician, people are oh yeah, I like his music, but they're not oh yeah, rape this girl or beat this guy. No, nobody looks at it like that. I feel at the end of the day, he's still a person. Nobody really knows the real him, how he grew up, who he is, as a person in society, to make him do those things. What community does he come from? Nobody really knows about that. Nobody cared to ask, So, I don't know. I just feel also, the girlfriend, she even said, yeah, I'm, devastated about this. Of course, his death. She's not happy. Why would anybody be, happy that he's dead,
Yeah, the people who are saying that he deserved to die, I think that
they're trying to be on her. No, the people who think, yeah, he deserved to die, they're on her side.
They're on her side, and there's LGBT community people who are, because did you listen to the interview?
Mm-mm.
So he had an interview with No Jumper. It was a podcast interview where he describes beating up. So he was in jail, and apparently there was a gay black man who everybody knew was gay. And so that gay man was put in his cell with him. So he was his cellmate. He describes that the guy was staring at him in their cell, so he bashed his head into the ground, stomped it, and then smeared the guy's blood on his face. And then the host of the podcast said, "War paint, that's tight." And then they started laughing. And then as he's telling that story, his friend is who was there at the interview, he's the one who brought it up. He was tell him about the time you, oh wait, hold on. I need to do a content warning because we're going to be talking about maybe a little sexual assault, any trigger statements, domestic abuse, gun violence. But his friend says, tell him about the time you beat up that faggot in prison. And then he was X. He said, oh yeah, I'm going to tell you about that time, and then call him a faggot. So there's LGBT people who are offended by this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a mixture of people who are against domestic violence and the LGBT community.
Wait, honestly, I wonder what the gay dude did to get in jail, because I don't feel like people equally weigh situations. Personally, a person's craft is almost within the person's craft is almost completely inseparable from what type of person that they are. But in the media, from the outside looking in, someone who likes XXXTentacion, that's not his real name, mind you. That is his musician name. That is the name that he puts on his craft. So someone who likes XXXTentacion does not have to know anything about Jase, whatever his last name is, or Enroy, is it Jase, Enroy, something like that.
Yeah.
They don't have to know anything. They don't even have to know his real name. They don't have to know his past to enjoy his music. I understand where people would be coming from to be like, oh, well, he shouldn't be glorified. But when I think about if I was in the media at a young age and my life was, I don't even have to put it in terms of me because not everybody knows me, but everyone knows Malcolm X, right?
People talk, when people were saying, what if Malcolm X
and
Maya Angelou had died at 20, Malcolm X would have been a thief and a convict, and Maya Angelou would have been a prostitute and a single. I don't even know why they said a single mom.
Yeah.
Like that's the worst thing ever. But
he even Malcolm X even went to prison, and that's where he got where the change happened. So I mean, it has its place, but only within the person. I don't feel like anybody has the right to look at somebody's life and determine whether or not they were a bad person, because for every moment that they see in the media, especially when the media gets a hold of your situation, it's a wrap. If the media got a hold of anything that I've done, they would have every right to turn it, flip it. I could have millions of people against me, and I'm like, dang, I'm not even in control of my story anymore. So I don't agree with domestic violence. I don't agree with what the hell he did in prison. That's.
But then again, that's an issue with the prisons, I think too. Who let that happen?
There's a whole other problem with prison.
Though.
Yeah.
They're in the custody of
somewhere. That the fact that people knew he was openly gay, he was gonna be in someone's cell. That was just.
But who's watching that? Why weren't they watching the cell? They're in their custody.
There's so much going on.
The sheriff's custody in jail. Why weren't they there to stop that? Nobody should ever be beat like that. No matter what.
No, that's horrible.
No matter what I'm saying, but it's that's another issue with the prisons itself too. They're supposed to be in their care.
Think about how entertaining it is to talk about beating a pregnant girlfriend, in the media, just with the content of American media. We love drama, we love violence. So when you hear about drama and violence put into one, and it happens to be from a famous artist, that's something to talk about. So of course, if you do that, people are going to capitalize on it, look at you for that for damn near the rest of your life, and no matter what you do, it's going to be thrown at you.
If that information is out there and we know about it, and no one talks about it, but holds him up to be an icon, do you think that that's telling young kids that, as long as you make good music and that it's okay to hit women, it's okay to beat up a gay man or a gay person? I think that's what people were asking, what example are we, what message are we telling young kids when we say that this person is an icon without basically being selective about what he's remembered for?
I feel personally that if there's a lack of acknowledgement of what impact they do, these kids growing up, I feel like if they don't realize what impact they have subconsciously on them, they're gonna be susceptible to the issues of seeing these public figures as idols, even though they don't analyze what they do on let's say on the personal basics, right? Because the thing is Jock, what you said, it's what these people do, they're a part of their name, their name, their artist name is completely reciprocated by their personal life, so it's what do they do, and what message they put out needs to be recognized, and so that's when it's okay, should I why do I idolize this person? That's the type of thing I feel like. Because I wouldn't idolize for example.
But what message do you think it's sending to kids?
Yeah, I feel like it's sending what's going on all the time, in terms of the context of their music. Like, they're talking about, like, raging mollies and stuff like that, right? Like...
No, but this specific situation
this specific
with
one.
X.
Okay, I feel like...
Because like I said, I want to talk about the idolization of abusive celebrities. Now, I didn't come up with that name.
Yeah.
That's what I found online, so that's why I wanted to talk about it with other people and see, like, what you guys think about
I feel like for one, they shouldn't be idolized. You know, like, I mean, if, like, you know, like I said, like, on a subconscious level, if I was a kid and I'd see, like, let's say if I was a huge fan of, like, I don't know, let's say like some random artist. Let's say, like, XXXTentacion, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if I was a fan of him and I completely, like, I acknowledge that he beat women up. He's, like, let's say, like, homophobic, you know, towards the LGBTQ community. You know, it's like, I subconsciously know that and I accept it, but I'm still going to listen to his music. I'm like, wait, hold on, that just, like, contradicts what I believe in. You know, like, I'm not about that. Like,
it doesn't line up with you.
I'm like, I'm not going to support something and, like an artist that counteracts what I believe in personally. So, like, for example, SZA, he's a reggae artist, right? He doesn't believe in, like, the LGBTQ plus community's, like, ideologies. He's not with that, right? When I found out about that, I used my conscious mind. I was like, no, I'm not going to support that. Because I know that some of those ideas in his music may be, you know, portrayed, you know, well, some of his personal ideas might be portrayed in his music. I'm not trying to have that influence me. Because I know, like, I'm one with, like, I support the LGBTQ community, you know? So it's like, I'm not going to go ahead and, like, perpetuate that idea by supporting an artist that has a counteracting belief. So that's just how I feel about it.
So yeah, at the end of the day, it's up to the fan to decide
their
values. They have to look at themselves and look at the artists that they're listening to, that they're letting influence them. And it's up to, I feel like, the parents too. They have to be watching out and looking at that stuff too. It all comes down to, like, caring and, like, the values that we have, like, as an individual. Like, are you going to let your child listen to him? No, you have to do your own research, too, and figure out who exactly this is.
That rarely happens, I can tell you that.
Like,
it's hard to keep track. We know, especially with social media, it's hard to keep track of what a child's looking at, what they're listening to every second.
And I feel like on social media, he portrayed, like, a positive... Like, he wanted to be a positive role model for younger kids. Like, he wanted to. I feel like he had an issue.
Leading into that direction.
Yeah.
Giving back to the foster youth.
Yeah. I feel like he just needed, like... It was basically a call, like, a cry for help, I feel like. Like, he was... Obviously, he was feeling some pain that he was facing to, like, inflict pain onto others like that. Like, it was like he needed something.
Sure. Everyone is a product of their environment. So he wasn't born... violent, you know.
I feel like situations can be more evenly weighed when every person in the situation is looked at as a victim, or you try to see them as a victim, and until you can see everyone in the situation as a victim, it's kind of hard to move forward in thought. And as far as people children idolizing celebrities as a whole, like, there's no telling what people who we deem is okay. Like, what if the dude that, like, runs Kids Bop, like, secretly fucking, like, just says some out of line or has done some out of line things that no one's gonna put in the media because he's not popular? But, like, I heard, like, Dr. Seuss was on some, like, weird stuff, like, toward children, and I'm like, I don't see Dr. Seuss books being pulled, but at the same time, there's a lot going on that we're not gonna know about, like the Weinstein. Like, they had some stuff, but I mean, like, it's hard to keep track of, like, oh, is this a Weinstein movie? Like, you find out halfway through the movie, oh, I gotta leave now. Like,
but you gotta be woke like that.
Yeah, like, you have to. If you're not gonna take it that far, then why? Then don't stop there. Like, you gotta make that.
I was just, what was I gonna say? What tripped me up was reading the stuff about him, but then I was wondering why he was being compared to Tupac and Malcolm X.
Malcolm X, I'm not sure with that one. Probably because of the path that he was about to be on. Like, honestly, I wouldn't...
That even no one knows that. Like, no one knows what would have happened.
Exactly. Like,
I mean, unfortunately, yeah.
I want to throw one thing in there, though. Like, one thing, all right, because I'm like, I'm on BBC, like, all the time. Like, that's like my little app, you know? And so, like, I got a notification of like, like X being killed, right?
Right.
But I just want to point it out there, just because how powerful the media is. The notification on my phone popped up and said, rapper XXXTentacion died at 20. Known for I don't even think it was rapper. It was like domestic abuser alleged.
Oh, they put it in the title, so your mind is
literally
already,
like, how you get the text message.
Person.
It was
they
that
set the framework for how you
already. But the thing is, is like I and for one, I completely 110% against domestic abuse and all that, right? Mm-hmm. So the thing is, I listened to X, but I wasn't too aware of that. But then like I was like, nah, I just like felt, I was like, no, I'm not in for like all that, what he's trying to put out. Then I started seeing his change. I was like, what? It's acknowledging like his faults and stuff. I'm like, wait, what? Like, okay, cool. So he's going the route.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I'm not the one to say like that was. I never believe put death on anyone, right? Like that isn't my belief at all. I'm not sure if it was meant. I'm not sure if it was meant to happen. If his past cops, I don't know, but it's like it looked like he was changing, So
like I don't mind it being acknowledged. It's just that when a person's past, which is so irrelevant from the situation that happened, becomes more important than what happened. That's when I'm like, all right, like I feel like I need to go extra hard for him as a person when I realize like, hey, like him, like whether I wasn't there and I know it happened, but like he says it happened, I wasn't there at the end of the day, but because it happened and has nothing to do with somebody running up on me, shooting me, like robbing me, killing me, like. What does like that person didn't even know my girlfriend? Yeah, like can we acknowledge like the headline that you saw?
Yeah.
Like if it could be acknowledged as innocent young man shot playing like in broad daylight and
just
killed and robbed. See it for what it is first. Yeah. Like, don't paint the picture as something that has nothing to do with what happened, and then and then people who actually did appreciate his music, when they suddenly feel guilty for like, because they know why they like XXXTentacion. It has everything to do with his music.
And they defend. I don't mind defending him to the.
I wouldn't I understand the pressure that they would get, because I feel like I don't feel like they're defending him at that point. I feel like they feel like they're attacked because it's like somebody else telling them, oh, you're supporting a domestic violence abuser, like you're supporting a rapist or like a criminal or a bad person.
He can't even defend himself.
He can't defend himself. They
have to. As fans, that's their job.
And I don't even think it's that conscious. I think it's just people like feeling guilty for like supporting that, because like, hey, I said I like his music. I made it known that I like his music. Now by liking his music, I support domestic violence. Like, no, I gotta go ham and show
some of those people are calling her a liar, so they're just completely
they need to.
They're like, oh,
that's wild how the media.
They're becoming too attached to him as a image and as a brand and as a musician,
and that's where it becomes problematic.
Never met him in their life.
Exactly. When I found out, I mean, the fact that his victims are even his past girlfriend being a woman of color, and an LGBT. These are kind of marginalized groups that are black women, bottom of the social or totem pole, whatever you want to call it, LGBT person. So I feel like he should be commended for the good things that he did, but also held accountable for the wrong things. Just to let kids know that this is an example who looked like he was going on the right track towards the end of his life, but the things that he said and did that's not okay.
Right.
So just holding people accountable, because I've made mistakes, done messed up things in my life, and when I die, if some people chose to remember me for a couple bad things that I did and then denounce the good, I'm going to have to live with that, because that's something that I did. So it's just about...
Whose job would you say it is to, like, hold him accountable, though? Because I don't feel like it's a fan's responsibility or something.
It's not a fan's responsibility. Yeah. I'm saying the people who are putting him up on a pedestal, being like, "Oh, forget about anything else that he did."
Yeah, that's
to ignorant. Me. That's I'm ignorant. Seeing that as problematic because I think of my little cousins. They're gonna fall. They're watching TV, fall for anything. So I'm like, what message is this sending little kids? To me, it was like, as long as I make good music, I could be a good athlete, a good this, a great artist. It's not gonna matter what else I do, because. Like you guys know, people can be that simple-minded.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, acknowledge all aspects.
Yeah.
And then even further, him as a 20-year-old rapper who isn't even that known, and people seeing him as an idol or successful, but still a bad person, and like looking at that situation when you can just look at Donald Trump and be like, that's the same thing. Like, this dude is a racist, like this and like that. He's done this, done that, and he's the president.
Yeah.
And he's still the president. And
that's true.
I feel like that should be. I feel like this is just like a small, like unnecessary distraction from like the exact same situation going on right in front of us. And I hate that it took a 20-year-old young black male rapper for this to be addressed. When for 4 years we got this dude like. Who's literally like more people want to be a president than more people want to be a rapper. Like, and I feel like it should be addressed more within who's running the country that's allowing us to even view this media like the way as easy as we can. I feel like it should be addressed like to the person who's like literally the face of the country before we trickle it all the way down to, for one, a minority, 2, a young person, 3, a rapper. Like, I feel like I think we should just shift like perspectives sometimes in this situation. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that is like there's more to say about the president. Like, I would feel bad. Yes, I would feel bad if a young kid is like looking up to another young kid and is idolizing him when I'm aware that this is not a perfect person. No one's perfect, but this person has done some crazy things, and he says crazy things. And he has a lot of influence. Like I would definitely want that to be acknowledged. But before that's acknowledged, I would be like, look, we got a president who isn't in line with a lot of people's like morals, and he's running shit. But understand, young child, that's not what makes you successful. That's not what makes you a great person. Having power and money and fame and influence is not what makes you successful. You got to be successful within yourself first. And I feel like the best time to talk about that is when you turn on the news for half a second and see who the president is, not when somebody gets innocently killed and the reasons that they're deeming him a bad person have nothing to do with why he was killed. So, yeah.
Do you think people pick and choose which perpetrators they condemn or not?
Yeah.
Greater than the X situation, but just think like in general.
Yeah.
Based on who the victim is.
Right.
Like what value, black women, LGBT.
Yeah.
There are people like, ooh, we don't really feel that bad.
It kind of depends on the mindsets, I feel like, just as like, I mean, like I said, you can have people who don't think for themselves. They let like the social media, Twitter, Instagram,
they're like, okay,
think for them. Oh no, yeah, it's this right here, right? But then if you have someone who's like logically thinks and like is critical to like what they see and what they analyze and what they soak in, they'll be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go with this side because I see where I'm talking about, so.
And when you look at the case of like, even before XXX Tentacion, when it was a trend, sadly, of police killing young black males, when one thing that got me very frustrated was seeing how in every case that young black male was shot by an officer, they would paint the picture of the young black male as a bad person before they proceeded with anything.
Right.
And for me to see something that has nothing to do with a cop and has nothing to do with that person's past, when I see that he's killed innocently in broad daylight, and the first thing that's talked about is his past, I'm like, wow, like this isn't new. It's not new. And I felt like they were bending that situation to the wrong situation. Like, it's already wrong, but for you to like bend that into that, like, I don't want to feel like I'm like pushing away like his bad past, like it didn't happen. But why is that the first thing being talked about? And how come in every trend of a young black man being innocently killed, is that the first thing talked about? Like from Trayvon Martin all the way up to now. Like, it's crazy. There's a lot that's happened in between, and in every case, it's like, yeah, he smoked weed, or he had a grill, or he
back to Emmett Till.
He had his hood on.
He had his hood on, like,
right.
like from that.
Whistled at my wife.
Yeah, like, that's crazy. It goes even beyond before that. That's even crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. So yeah, I just hate that the image of us is, and I feel like it definitely, to answer the question, like, it definitely depends on the victim, because whoever that victim isn't going to be able to speak for themselves. So whatever image that whoever's in control, whatever image they want that person to be seen as, they're gonna like hop on that.
They're gonna paint
like,
it for them
instantly. Right. Like, let's see, a young white male shoots up a school, like, or movie theater, whatever.
He's mental.
Yeah, like,
he's mental.
First thing, like, it's like a justification for it.
Justifies it.
Rather than a justification for like what he did, they get demonized, and I just don't like, as a young black male, like, I can't give too much of a F about like some things that he did when I'm looking at how he's being portrayed in the media after that, because it scares me. Like, dang, like, I don't want to be successful in my own eyes and then innocently die, and then something's dug up, because I got arrested when I was 15. So I'm like, I don't want nobody to like look at that and be like, oh, this criminal got, or this criminal blah 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 in the headline or whatever, painting the picture of me as somebody who deserved to die. No one deserves to die.
So, I think that's messed up, the skewing of the headlines. But what attracted me to this, one of the things that attracted me to this topic as a woman, was seeing the way that he would speak about women and violence towards women, and how people were so quick to forget about it and denounce it.
Yeah. And
that's what brought me to the question, does it depend on how much value we place on the victim of people? Like, again, this is bigger than him. If we're quick to forget about it, give the person a pass. So when I saw that, it just made me feel like, wow, like, we should give a voice to these marginalized group who are not, they don't get a lot of value placed on them when they are harmed, when they are being perpetrated against, if the perpetrator is someone who is idolized. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like, the
so
people,
I feel like there's no wrong side, but just coming from different perspectives, that was your first feeling and first thoughts as a black man.
Yeah, exactly.
And those were my first feelings and thoughts as a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like looking at the situation from her point of view, and just as a woman, and like, I never will be able to, and like, I have to respect that when I hear a black woman say, okay, I can't see, I don't see him, because I realize what I just said right now has a lot to do with who I am and how I view the situation. Now, I gotta acknowledge, like, there are more than young black males on the planet. Like, there are hundreds of different types of like groups looking at the situation, and all of them are speaking at once. So I gotta understand, like, okay, I'm seeing it this way because of this, but I can guess. I mean, if I was a woman, like, I wouldn't even, like, I've even seen some things, like, I'd be surprised at, like, bro, like, you're only getting away with this because you're famous right now. Yeah. Like, I didn't even, like, his name wasn't on my brain until I knew he existed, and I knew his music existed, and I liked his music, but I wasn't consciously thinking about this dude from this type of analytical perspective until I learned that he died. And I realized that in people dying, the person dying is the only thing that can't be fixed. And I feel like that's why I approach the situation the way that I do, because I feel like people always change. Like, people, like, whether he was or not, I don't know that. Like, and I don't feel like anyone would know that. But I feel like those are things that can be changed. And one thing that can't be changed is him coming back to life. So that once that happens, I'm like, okay, like, it's a wrap for that. But it kind of sucks that the things that already happened, like, it's over now. Like, they can't be fixed or addressed or even spoken about by him because he's gone. So for that reason, I'm like, dang, like, I really want to, like, step away from it, because there's no telling what direction it was going to take. Like, I feel like when that happens, like, it's just really hard to separate it, especially, like, with this case, because, like, when you see the vibe that he attracts, it's kind of hard to separate it from like the allegations that he has. It's like you wouldn't be surprised to hear like, oh, this dude did that when you listen to his music and he's like, hey, like screaming and stuff like that. But I feel like within himself and within each and every one of us, I feel like we're connected to the situation for different reasons. And I feel like all of those reasons should be addressed at a table like how we doing right now, like that. Mm-hmm. That's like a metaphor, but it perfectly works. We're putting it like on the table and then viewing, like spinning around the plate, so we could like see it from a different perspective. Like it's crazy. Like I never even thought of it like that. And I feel like in order for me to move forward or anyone else to move forward, they have to realize that they're addressing it from their perspective, because that's all that we have at the end of the day. But that was powerful. Yeah, I didn't even consider it from anyone's perspective other than mine. Because I even felt like we don't have as much of a voice, like, as a young, like, black male. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even feel like I didn't realize, like, we're not, like, at the bottom of the social thing. Like, there's still, like, advantages that we have that, like, women, like, still don't have. Yeah. And me feeling, like, looking at it from the perspective of, like, us being at the bottom of society, like, that's why I be going in, because I'm like, ain't nobody gonna speak for us, and the only platform that we have to speak on freely and openly is hip-hop most of the time. So I'm not surprised that there's this being talked about in his music, this being talked about in his music, because no one else would listen otherwise. Like, if he didn't have, like, tattoos on his face and stuff, like, a lot of people wouldn't listen to him. So, I mean, for him to die and not be able to be heard anymore, I'm like, dang, like, I feel a need to speak up now, like, because we don't get much of a voice anyway. But I realize, like, she has even less of a voice than he has. Like, this dude's on a microphone speaking to thousands of people, but the only thing that I've heard from his girlfriend has been coming from other sources. Like, she said, or like she said. She's not on a microphone talking about her perspective of the story. So I'm sitting here acknowledging things that he said without realizing, like, I haven't even heard anything from her. So, like, I don't know. It's cool to see things, like, differently sometimes. And it's very healthy.
Yeah.
Real shit.
I think we're going to move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
That was a good conversation. It's good to hear from different perspectives. Like, it's easy for me to look at situations and, I mean, I like in my head thinking from different perspectives, but to actually talk to someone from a different gender, who has a different experience than I do. And I think people need to be reminded also that you can't tell people who have a different experience than you how to feel or how they should feel, because you don't know what their experience is like.
Exactly.
And that's okay. Just be willing to listen and understand.
And then at the end, everyone gets a more objective view and a wider perspective on things. Like, seeing two different things in the same image. Like, both of them are right because they see that. But when it's not until we sit and address what's actually there and acknowledge that it can be seen differently that we're able to, like, come to a more objective view, which I feel like is the end goal. Like, to be able to see things from someone else's perspective, therefore, like, a more objective view. And that's a completely necessary step in the process. It's crazy.
Okay, so next I want to talk about the commercialization of hip-hop music. So, like I was telling you before, Jock had posted himself speaking on his Insta story earlier this week, talking about how, tell me if I'm getting this correct, how there are people out there who listen to rap music, blast it at parties, think that it's like fun party music, but are neglecting to appreciate it as an art form. They don't respect it as an art form.
Yeah, and I feel like it goes beyond, like, not even respecting it as an art form, but respecting what it is that they're speaking on. Like, it just scares me sometimes when, like, I'm the only black dude in an environment and so-and-so trap song is being played, and these people who have never even like, I don't know everyone's story, but there are people that I do know have not been in particular situations. And to see them dancing to somebody rapping about killing another person, it's like...
And singing the words.
Every word.
Every word.
Even the ones that start with an N, it's just like...
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's the difference. Let me chill real quick. But it's just crazy. Like, I just feel like it's very like, somebody just got shot, broad daylight, robbed. Like, that's not foreign for a lot of people. Now, when I see these people who don't look like me just in a party dancing while the whole time the dude rapping is like, run up on somebody, like, kill him, like gunshots literally in the song. Like, I'm like, so y'all sitting here dancing to that, but when it really happens, it's
no
like...
No one's at the protest.
Nobody.
No one's out there.
I'm like, you just gotta understand that it's more than music. Like, it's more, like, these people speaking are real people speaking on real situations that we're presenting on the table. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there are rappers, like, exploiting a lot of their situations, but there are some where it's like, that's all they know, and then unless you can see the situation from in their shoes, you're gonna take it either not serious at all, or you're not going to listen to it. Like, you're either going to listen to it and not take it serious at all because you've never been in their shoes, and in order for you to take it serious, you would have to be, or take it literal, you'd have to be like a killer or something, and you're not a killer, so you can't like hear their music from their voice. But me, for example, when I'm listening to a song by, I'm not like, no, without any names, like, when I'm listening to a song where it's talking about some violent shit, or like anything like dealing with selling drugs, or the all the labels that get thrown on hip hop, when I'm listening to that, I'm like, okay, I know somebody in his exact shoes. I know that they're a person first before they're I can see them as a person. I can empathize with them as a person before I look at their actions. A lot of people don't have the luxury of empathizing with a young black male before they view their actions. They just see the actions. And I'm like, okay, when I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh, he said this, but just knowing that type of person, he means this. Like, he's like he's saying, oh, yeah, just sold this or whatever, but in my head, I'm like, bro, like, I got cousins who's just like, they got to do what they got to do. They don't agree with it. It's still not enough, and it's definitely not something worth bragging about, or like put in, like, there's a lot that I don't agree with hip hop. Let me just say that first. I'm not 200% hip hop. There's some things that a lot of rappers do that really annoy me. But when I'm listening to somebody speaking on their story and where they're coming from, like, I gotta look at it as somebody else speaking their own language about something I can connect with. Like, if someone's speaking Spanish to me, like, we can be saying the same thing, but just in a different language. So when I can see that person as a person first, I can acknowledge that they're just speaking a different language. But until I can do that, which a lot of people don't take the time to do, a lot of the music gets either appropriated, exploited, just not taken seriously, and I don't feel like it can be taken seriously until we see these people as people first. And it's kind of crazy. It's like, this is a big one for me. It's just kind of crazy that I want to let somebody else speak for a second.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of us know hip-hop. A lot of us know hip-hop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be a rapper to understand hip-hop. But
Right.
it's just wild how, like, it's not, like, it shouldn't be a racing. If you put music out, it's for everyone to appreciate, for everyone to, like, vibe to. Like, you have no say in who listens to your music once it's out there. But I just don't like how, like, it's just taken as, like, this party music, and it's like,
This is real life.
Yeah, I just hate knowing that it's real life and no one seeing it is real life because they've never seen that life. So to them, it's just all entertainment. And then because they don't see it as real life, they'll be like, oh, he's just pretending, rapping about this this drug deal and killing this person. He's just pretending. So let me hop on the boat and like make a trap song, and I know it'll be accepted because everybody's pretending and rapping about that. When really they're real people really dealing with these situations and speaking about their situation, while a bunch of copycats like are thinking
posers.
or posers thinking that everybody else is posing. That's what justifies a poser. Them thinking everybody else is posing. Like they're like, oh, everyone else is faking and getting away with it, so let me hop on board. And all that does is make like a whole team of people who aren't even on the same side. So you got people really living it and you got people faking it. But from the outside looking in, it's a bunch of people just rapping about like this and that. And it doesn't help the culture. It doesn't help the art form. It doesn't help the story. It doesn't help anyone be taken seriously.
It's watering it down.
No.
Yeah, it's watering it down. And I mean, eventually it's going to be so watered down that it evaporates. That's what happens with like any genre or
That's kind of
trend.
painful.
Do you guys think that
But we're going to find another way.
Because I mean, like, from the way what hip hop started as a political movement, a platform to give voice against police violence, like in the 80s, like it started as giving a voice with meaning to artists to say something about the black community, about the black experience, and how it's transitioned into this. I mean, I'm just talking about songs that are number one at the top of the charts, being played all over the radio. People are playing it. It's turned into this. I mean, these artists who are only talking about like materialism, that
Drake.
little Gucci Gang song,
Drake.
sex, lean, Xanax, Xannies in so many songs. I mean, do you guys think that there's hope for hip hop, or the fact, like, especially you as an I mean, you already have like a pretty large fan base, but up and coming, when you see that these songs that are on the radio primarily, they're all about one thing, like, is that discouraging for you as an up and coming artist? Like, is there any pressure for you to rap about the popular topics which have no meaning or value? Like, do you feel pressured in that way? Is it discouraging?
I don't feel pressured by a lot because I know how easy it is to make a song these days, and even to actually like make the song. Now, it's easy to make the song, and it's easy to even structure or write the song these days when you have a template of everybody else rapping about this, that, with a triplet pattern. Like, you literally just take some drums, a triplet pattern, a few drug references, a sex reference or two, a couple N-words or so, throw that in a pot, like mix it up, let it cook for a little bit, and boom, you got a whole catalog of music. Me knowing how easy it is to do that, I know there are people who take advantage of that. Those are the people I don't even like. They don't even make me budge. It's just like, I just turn my ear to it and I'm like, I see it for what it is. I don't respect that, and therefore not going to let it influence or affect me in any way. But when I see people rapping on like a larger scale and it's a little more authentic, when I see them at the top and I see that as popular, it just shows me more about it says less about the artist to me and more about the condition of society, because that person didn't make themselves famous. That person is not their only fan. Yeah. That person needs fans to be famous. And I feel like when people are flocking toward this topic or this topic or this topic, it just shows me, like, the only thing that influences me is, okay, I see what people are hungry for. I have to look at my life for not the cure to that, but I know what I'm up against. Like, I'm not going to compromise my story for somebody else's. All I'm going to do is look at my story, what I know to be true, what I believe to be true, and choose from that pot, choose from that what I can speak on that will bring somebody's attention from a bar of Xanax to what I'm talking about. And me being a person who has gone through certain things, like, I've had to find things more. I called my dad one morning, like, just after a week of, like, being zanned out and, like, hating everything, like, just worst week of my life. Like, it just got over the edge. So, me knowing what swayed my perception from that little tiny pill to everything that I'm looking at now, what made those new things more important to me, that's what I'm speaking on, because I can't grab somebody's head and physically turn it in my direction, but I can present what's helped me and what inspires me, what distracts me, because I feel like every rapper is just a reporter. I'm sorry, just a reporter. They're sitting there speaking on what's going on around them. They're not, like, people take rap as a person literally talking to them about what they're doing right now. No, it's one person in a studio talking to a microphone about what they've seen, what they've heard. They can be speaking from somebody else's perspective. Not in pop music, not a lot of people even write their own songs. Mm-hmm. So you shouldn't take it too personally toward the artist. This person is just speaking on a multitude of situations from a multitude of different perspectives. So with that being said, I don't feel like so much pressure should be put on any artist to speak other than what they're speaking, because we're not going to be able to decipher the real from the fake sometimes unless you're looking in the mirror. And I feel like that's one thing that I hold very close. Like, I don't know who's being real or not, but I know when I'm being real. So I know what helped me. I know what I'm reporting from my planet, like things that distract me, things that make me sad, things that make me happy, things that, because at the end of the day, I don't know what brought that change about. Like, there's not one absolute thing that I can say brought that change about and made me want to, like, take a different path. But I know what was going on in my life, and I know what was in my brain that happened during that change. So I'll speak about everything, the sad things that make me happy, sad, inspired, whatever help fix me. I'll just speak on that and then hope that somebody else will, like, real recognize real. I'll just hope that somebody else sees what I'm talking about, can relate to anything, because people connect on a bunch of different things. That's why people will talk about, like, materialism and stuff like that, because that's what a certain type of people connect with, which is sad, because, I mean, a lot of people are consumers in America. That's how our country thrives. So when I see rappers talking about materialism, I look at it as an attention getter. All of these people sit here, buy. So in order for me to be heard, I got to say something about something being bought. And within that, I'll find little sprinkles and gems of, like, wisdom and stuff like that. But me, I don't want to have to do that. Like, I don't want to have to talk about like a car or lie about a car or a chain. Like, I know that's very, like, futile. Like, it's not going to get anywhere. I'm just looking for the bigger attention getters. So, I mean, people are just taking easy bait. I feel like what the BS that people be rapping about is just easy bait. People love hearing about, like, buying stuff. Oh, they connect to that. Oh, blah, blah, blah. People love, like, hearing about people getting killed. They, like, watch movies and stuff like that and see people getting killed. So, like, it brings something out of people. It makes them feel something, like, when they're hearing about it. I don't know why people watch violent movies. Yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah, it's provocative. Like, I don't know what it is about death and murder and violence that just gets people so turned on. But, like, I wouldn't be mad at a rapper trying to get some clout and then, or, like, some attention, or at least be heard, or at least say something important. But yeah, like, even if they're trying to say something important, I don't even know. I woke up one day and I'm like, what is clout? And then I started hearing it everywhere. But I mean, what's going on? Yeah, a lot of rappers just say easy bait and talk about what was easy to talk about. It was easy to connect to.
Yeah, just to add on to that, not gonna lie, just to add on to that, that's facts. The thing is, I feel like because the question was like, how do you feel about you being an artist compared to, like, all these other people, like, doing it? Was that
also yeah, that's the question. But also you as a filmmaker, because I mean, I know you do comedy skits and short films as well, but when you're doing music videos, does that affect how you pick and choose what artists you choose to take on as far as the content of their music, what they represent?
Yeah, because it's like, I'm also like, okay, yeah, I look at it like this. Nowadays, like, no one really likes to read. No one likes to read anymore. Like, they like to sit back and listen, and they like to watch stuff. Yeah. Those are the two main avenues for like knowledge nowadays.
That's
right?
why we homies, bro.
Yeah, yeah, man. So I feel like being a filmmaker and someone who decided to pursue like music videos as well as like like comedy, it's like I have a moral obligation to make sure to check myself. What am I doing? What am I feeding the general population? What are my grandkids gonna be watching? Like what are they gonna be perpetuated subconsciously? So me being when I work with artists, I'm like, I learn now, like I have to listen to their music and be like, what are they putting out there? Because I'm not trying to go out and be like, all right, I'm gonna do a song with this, do a music video with this guy, and he's talking about like Zan, Pop Molly, and I'm like, do I do that? Do I want my friend's little cousin to be doing that and like mess with them? No, what? I'm not gonna help promote that because everybody's a music video director now.
Oh my goodness,
everybody's a music video director now. Everybody, everybody here's. Let me get my camera. Let me get my Ronin. We gonna make some dope shit, right? Yeah. But the thing is, it's like
the same with rapping. Everybody
that's basically the same thing.
It's crazy. It's just such an easy topic. It like makes it easier for me in a way. Like it does. Okay, and when you ask if it puts pressure on me to do anything, no, it actually takes pressure off of me knowing that it's so easy to make a music video, so easy to make a song, that we're having more and more people do it. But more and more of these people are just taking the easy bait and not saying shit at all.
Exactly.
And like drugs, like taking drugs is such a lazy topic when it comes to like rapping, like, or just creating anything. Like that's boring. No one wants to sit there and watch you on Zans.
Yeah.
Like that's not interesting at all. Like that's not fun.
Yeah.
So I feel like the easier it is for them to make that music, because I feel like the truth prevails in like every situation.
Always.
Like the real music like lasts in the end. So I feel like as all these people are making that and like taking these easy topics and not having any message whatsoever, just talking about what they're doing with no point to it, I feel like it makes more room for people like Kendrick. People like Kendrick's at the top, and I'm like at the bottom, like trying to get to where he at. But like from Kendrick to me to everybody in between, like I feel like anyone with the message this is the best time to speak up. And there should be even less pressure to speak on that BS because we got enough people speaking on that BS. Like I don't need to, like I don't feel pressure to be like, oh, like let me rap about this or that. I'm like, man, there's like enough people doing that, and it's easy as hell to make a song about that. So it takes pressure off of me.
It's like I look at it like the concept of saturation.
Yes,
it's so funny because the thing is like I said, like how they want to be a music video director now, right? Because they obviously whenever there's a laid out formula of like, okay, here's your establishing shot, performance here, performance, maybe B-roll, music video. Yeah.
808 crazy ass
but the thing is, it's like that's so, like, everybody's so comfortable with that. And to, like, the hardest part about, like, I feel about anyone in general, like, living, is to find their true selves and live through their true authenticity. Mm-hmm. And so when you see all these people doing this, oh, I'm a director of music video for $200, right? It's like, okay, cool. That's like every other music video with no soul in it, no artistic, like passion, right? But the thing is, now when you have an artist, someone who studies art, who studies the craft of cinema, who studies all these different things, who studies music, it's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna see this, and I'm gonna let my infinite thought, my infinite creative being, manifest something to make something artistically impactful, right? Mm-hmm. And so now when you have something like that, that's when you have like all the Lils on SoundCloud, compared to a Kendrick. It's like, it's like, wait, what? Now because you're actually putting soul, passion, artistic care into your craft. You're letting your authentic, basically your soul into it. Whereas a lot of people, they just follow formulas. Tangible things aren't shit compared to the intangible.
That's just a quick fix, bro.
You can't take it when you die, but you can't live without it.
Exactly. So now it's like that's how I look at it. So now whenever I get hit by an artist and they're same shit, they rap out the same thing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm okay, this is because
You
I'm
actually
like,
messaged them back.
I look at like this. Okay, I'm gonna be real. Like, you gotta be your own Kanye. I'm not gonna put my creative genius, my creative being, on the level of some basic formula. With like, say if an artist comes to me like, I want your music video, bro. I'm like,
no.
Okay, cool. Okay, you want the music video? Where's your art at? Where's your soul coming from in your music? And if I see where your message is going, and I see the soul, we gonna work.
I feel like the soul is very important.
Everything
in your craft.
The passion.
I think that's why it's really gives me hope looking at hip hop to see through all this mess, like mainstream mess. There's still rappers who are able to make it on the radio, able to reach masses of people with a positive message, a message of value that's actually talking about something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to wrap it up.
That was wild.
One thing that I just thought about was that I would like to end each episode with give our audience a takeaway. So anything you guys, any last message, book recommendation. I know you got a really good book.
Oh, hell yeah.
Maybe we'll start with Q and then we'll go around.
All right, my.
I started reading that, by the way.
Oh, you did?
I
Isn't
wrote
that the
down
greatest book?
the money thing where you say a certain amount of money that you want to make.
Yeah,
give yourself a certain time.
The 12 things. I got that in my wallet, boy. Wait, don't laugh, bro. Yeah, man.
All right. I would say like my number one thing is like I would say try your best to see, talk within your head, and then listen and question what is that talking in your head. That's the one thing. That, and then realizing that like everything is infinite. I call it the infinite world. It came up with it back when I was like 16. I was like, all right, there's some percent chance I could every test I'll take from the age of 16 all until when I graduate college. There's a chance that I could get every single one of those answers right. There's like that 0.000001% that I will get right. So I take that with me everywhere. I'm like, there's that chance I'm gonna end up here, and I know the way to get it is for me being true to myself and then acknowledging that within me. I look at myself as like I'm a god. I look at it like that straight up, and so like I know if I have that and I'm in line with like me just being a good person, I'm gonna be that 0.0001. You know what I mean? So like there's that, and then I humbly believe manifest everything you want. Believe in it with your heart. Think about it, feel that feeling, and then just start manifesting on the spot. And then just believe in it, working, putting hard work to it, and you'll literally get anything that you want. Like the world, like the universe will set anything you want right there. You just gotta take the opportunity and just go for it. Just be a good person and don't use it for like negative stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Jack, what's your takeaway?
I would say,
or not a takeaway. Shouldn't it be a put off?
Kind of like a message. A message.
A message. Yeah. What's your message?
There's two powerful books that mean a lot to me. One right now is Seven Traits of Highly Efficient People, and another is The Alchemist. I love that story. I've also been listening to a lot of Alan Watts. I've yet to have a book by him, but I listen to him often enough for it to might as well be an audio book. But two things that have been really moving my life right now is there's three small quotes. One is, the way that we see the world is not the way it is, but the way we are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that has a lot to do with everybody and everything. I feel like sometimes the problem, the way we see a problem, can be the problem itself. Like we have to align our perception with reality, and that is a dance that's going to take some time, patience, and development. So there's that one there. Another one is, speaking of dance, life itself is a song, and I don't feel like I want to wait to the very end, so when it's too late, look back and have forgotten to dance because I was so focused on these destinations, not realizing that every single one of these destinations that I've been chasing, whether it be graduating high school Or would it be graduating college for some people? Or getting a master's or getting a certain job and then retiring and having grandkids and getting married. Like, I don't want to keep chasing destinations expecting those to be the end. Yeah. And I'm just, from this point, just taking life as a dance. And honestly, I feel like those two, I just want to stick with those two. Like, I feel like those have been getting me through a lot. Just aligning my perception with reality and not forgetting to dance throughout all of this. Because we're so focused on the grind right now that I had to remind myself to get back in tune with the flow. There's a lot of friction involved with the grind that gets hot and like burns me sometimes. So I'd rather just be like water and flow. And a lot of the pressure that we confront in life comes from the way that things are, not the way that they should be. So it doesn't make sense to keep running into a wall and knocking your head on it, trying to break through that wall. If there's a wall there, there's a wall there. Just, I allow all of the pressure in front of me to push me from behind. I can't get rid of it. You can't like destroy or create energy. So if there's an energy blocking my way, I just figure out a way to redirect it. Like, I'm done wasting energy trying to get rid of energy. Like, it's just so redundant. So I would definitely walk away with that.
Keep flowing. Keep dancing.
Keep flowing. Don't forget to dance. And the way you see the world is the way you are.
I think that's part of believing that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So that happened so that something else could happen.
And we gotta understand sometimes that reason can be no reason at all. There's no reason to sit and overanalyze it if you can't like make something out of it sometimes. I mean,
I think a lot of problems and drama and stress in our lives comes with the difference between how things are actually happening and if that's not the same as how we think it should be. So sometimes we need to let go of our vision of how it should be and accept what actually is. Lauren, what's your message?
My message is don't settle for anything less than what you deserve. Like, keep your eye on the prize. If something comes up and you're like, oh, it could be good, don't even take it if your heart is not set on it. Like, if it's not, because then it's really not for you. And it's just happening to you. Yeah. It all goes together.
Yeah, I like that.
So, yeah, just always go with your first choice and make the best out of every situation. Like, always look for the good. Like, never look like, oh, it could have happened like this. Could have. No, just look at the good. Focus on that, because then you'll get good back. And I literally forgot the main thing that I was going to say. Oh, mistakes happen. Don't let it define you. Like, that's what a lot of people, like, okay, so I guess I should just say it. Like, I had a job, basically, and I got sent home from it. And I'm not, like, everybody was really sad about it, my whole staff team. And it was my day off.
On Friday.
Yeah.
You stealing boxes for the clubhouse.
So, yeah, that happened. But I was sad about it. It took me a few days, but now I'm just, like, completely, like, over it. I'm happy to be back in Los Angeles. But everybody's just like, don't let it define you. Like, this is nothing. Like, you don't even need to, like, worry about it. Like, that's not who I am. Like, whatever they saw in me, that's not who I was. God took me out of that situation for a reason. And I'm happy he did, because I don't know what he wanted me to avoid, but I'm happy about that. So I'm just grateful that I have my friends and family who love me and support me. So always, like, be grateful for your community and always keep your relationship strong. And don't let your mistakes define you. Rick, I'm happy to just enjoy this time, be able to come here today, and I'll be applying for jobs soon.
Hey, good.
That's good. Keep
gang,
dancing.
gang.
Yeah. Like, this is, like, when we're dancing, like, we're not trying to hurry up and, like, dance the hardest and hurry up and get done dancing. Like, we're dancing to dance. Like, we need to breathe. We sit back, breathe. Yeah. If we get back to it, dancing, get a little more coordinated.
Get my water break.
Get your water break, and then you're dancing even better than you was than the person who's sitting there trying to muscle it out.
Yeah.
Like, bro, why are you doing all that? It's just dancing, bro. Like, you're just dancing. Relax.
Exactly.
It's okay, bro. You're sweating hard, dog. Like,
hard, yo.
You can take a break, dog. It's okay.
I was sweating it.
That's real.
Yeah. I listen to music. So, Georgia Smith and definitely J. Cole's album. I love.
I heard that quote you snuck in there.
Yeah.
You can't live
I gotta
without it.
represent for him. I love him.
That's
And
dope.
Beyonce
That's
and Jay-Z's new album.
I was bumping Nice
Yeah,
on the way
it's
over here.
nice.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's so funny. Y'all seen
So
the
those
meme
are
with
my
the girl in the Soul
recommendations.
Train line?
No, okay, you gotta show
She's
us.
giggling. She's giggling.
But okay, that's it for time. Thank you guys again for being here. You guys have been amazing. Thank you, Joshua Valle. He's been sitting here this whole time on the tripod filming us. Thank you. We love you.
Love you, Josh.
Love you,
Thank
Josh.
you.
Love you, Josh.
Hang in there, bro. It's almost over, dog.
Tickling mustache,
He's been
man.
flipping us off the whole time. It's all good, though. It's all good. That's money. I'm really excited to see how this turns out.